Hi, welcome to Professor Kev Show. As you can see, I have my friend Jodi Murnick with us from Jodi Murnick Coaching. Hello, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Kev. Thanks for having me.
So, Jodi, before I jump in and ask today's question, give me a little bit of an overview about yourself. What should my listeners know?
Sure. So I started my career as a college recruiter, and it's really come full circle. I spent about a year in college recruiting at a startup software company. I loved the startup entrepreneurial space. Went on to sell advertising for about 4 years before earning my MBA at the University of Texas in marketing. From there, I went into the corporate world, into brand management and strategy with consumer goods companies. I spent about 20 years doing various roles in consumer packaged goods and sales and marketing. And about 2 years ago, I decided that the piece of that business I loved was the mentoring and coaching. I was coaching clients, I was coaching friends' kids, and I decided to make that my sole focus. So I opened Jodi Murnick Coaching, and I'm a coach who works with college students and recent grads to help them land the jobs they want.
So, Jodi, I need you to help me today because one of my strengths and weaknesses is I have way too much empathy. I want to help everyone. And some days it's challenging because I have students message me on LinkedIn. Everyone's calls me Kev. Hey, Kev, can you get me an internship, bro? Well, let's talk about it. What are you looking to do? Anything. Well, my friend, there's no job that's called anything. Like, can you at least put me in an industry? Can you do something? And often they can't. And I'm like, well, respectfully, that's why you're having a problem finding an internship because you're telling everyone you want a internship without giving them any direction. Do you see that as a problem too?
I see it all the time. And I think it's two things, right? One of the things is that they're in the students I work with, right? They think in being really broad, they're giving themselves as many opportunities as they can. But what they're really doing is muddying the water so much that they don't appeal to anybody. It's kind of like marketing. It's actually a lot like marketing, right? When you bring a new product to market, the first thing you want to say is, who is this for and why do they want it?
Exactly.
There is no if your product is for everybody, then it's for nobody, right?
That's true though.
So it's really the same thing with the students. So when I work with students, I use a lot of my marketing background to talk about how are we going to position you. So just like with a product, you talk about, what are the outer attributes? What's the unique selling proposition that pulls all of that together? With students, I say the same thing, right? What do you like? What would you do if I didn't pay you? Right? What are you interested in? And the next question is, what are you good at? Right? What are the classes that you do really well in? What are the skills that you're good at? And we take those two things together. And the next question is, well, what can you get paid for?
Yep.
Right? So that comes down to things like, well, to be a financial analyst, a business analyst, an investment analyst, right? Like those are for kids who really like critical thinking, solving problems, are strong mathematically, right? And the next piece is great. Well, what does the market need? Right? Let's look at what industries out there are growing and who's hiring. And let's figure out based on all of those things, I want you to pick 20 companies that you're targeting. And then we're going to go after them. And you've got to narrow it down to 20. And then we go after them one at a time. Because I can't coach kids who want to do anything because I don't know how to find that job.
What if we get to this point, Jody, and we still do I don't know. Then you probably can't, probably hard for anyone to help them, right? If they can't narrow it down.
Yeah, here's the analogy I told a student the other day. If you looked at me and you said, "Hey Jody, do you have a blue pen?" I'd say, "Oh, sure, here." If you said to me, "Hey Jody, do you have anything I could possibly use to communicate with?"
A lot different.
And now I'm like, I don't know if I have it or not.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the same thing when you go in, a lot of the students I work with have a lot of networking calls. And that's really, 70 to 80% of jobs are found through networking or some kind of referral. So I encourage them to have a lot of networking conversations. But what's important about those conversations is that A, you go into them with a goal, right? If you sit down with me, I need to know why I'm there. And
Hmm.
at the end of it, I need to ask you specifically for what I need. We all know why we're meeting, right?
Yep.
It's like anything else. You know why we're there, right?
Yep.
So at the end, when I ask you, hey Kev, these are my top 20 companies. I know you're at this one. Do you know anybody else at any of these companies that you might be able to introduce me to, or that might you think might be willing to talk to me? That's a great question, right? But if I just say to you, "Hey, Kev, do you know anybody who could talk to me?" Then you're like, I mean, yeah, my mom's awesome. Do you want to talk to her?
Yeah, right, yeah.
You know?
Probably can't do much to get you a job, but she's fun,
She's
So
fun to talk to. Are you just looking for
yeah.
someone to talk to? So that's why you've got to be specific. And I just really, there is no job for someone who wants to do anything.
Jodi, the way you described is my dream. When I have students reach out to me saying, hey, I have an interview at this company. Do you know anyone at company X? Even when I don't, Jodi, I do what I call a blind post. You may have seen them. Hey, I got a friend that's looking to meet someone at Raytheon in engineering. Does anyone have contacts for Raytheon? Very few times do we fail. And it's always someone like I know casually like you like, hey, my friend works at Raytheon in that department. It's always amazing to me. It's those loose connections and stuff. So how they'll come forward. So that's the thing is trying to make it as easy as possible to help you. But one last thing, I find a lot of people dismiss people. Like, well, what does this person know? Kev's a professor in business. I'm an engineering person. And it's easy for them to think, oh, I don't know anyone or anyone in engineering. You should kind of keep the net open because you never know whose brother, sister, mom, dad works someplace.
Absolutely. So I had a student who said to me, he was going on a ski trip for winter break with his parents. And we sat down to meet, and I said, what do you want to work on today? He said, I really want to get my like 30-second, tell me about yourself down cold today. And I said, great, let's work on it. I said, I'm curious, why is today so important? He said, because we're leaving tomorrow. He goes, you know how long you sit on a chairlift? He said, I've got about a minute. He goes, and you meet some really interesting people on the chairlift. He said, and if I know enough to say, like, hey,
Yep,
I'm Noah, this is what I'm interested in. He goes, you just never know who might say, I'd be happy to help you. And I think it's so smart.
yep.
You really never know. Do we, Kev, do we have time for a quick story?
We do.
Okay, so when I first started my career, I was not a college student who knew what I was going to do. I was at April of my senior year, no suit, no resume, no clue. And I was in the dining hall and having lunch with some friends, and one of my friends had a visitor with her, this other young woman, and she and I started talking, and I was so uninformed. I asked her, "What does a recruiter do?" And she told me. And then I
Yep.
just had a bunch more, I had a lot more questions. I kept asking her questions. And I think when I finally let her take a breath, she looked at me and she said, you might make a great recruiter. And she said, what I didn't tell you is that I'm in town because I work for this startup software company and we're growing. She said, I'm looking for a few candidates to come in and work in our college recruiting program for next year.
See?
If I give you one of my slots, would you fly out to Austin and interview? So I wasn't talking to her because I thought she was going to give me a job. I
Right.
was
Yeah.
just curious about people.
Yep.
And so that's one huge piece of advice that I give students all the time, especially when you're not sure what you want to do. Talk to everybody,
Yep.
right? People love to tell you about how they got into their career, what they like about it, what they don't
Sure.
like about it, what they wish was different, where
Yep.
they think it's going. So just having those conversations and being both curious and authentic about, I'm trying to figure it out is a perfectly appropriate and really effective way for college students to operate right now.
I like that approach because most people, I'm older than you are, want to help, like, because we
Yeah.
remember what you, like the story you just gave, I got lucky that I happened to meet this person. People are willing to help if you make it easy and tell us how to help.
Yeah.
Because again, you're like, oh, I happened to talk to this person and I got them a job. It makes us feel good about ourselves. Because,
Really.
I feel like, as we get older, we've had that need and desire to help the next generation. This is what I feel like I should be doing. So, Jody, what's the best way for people to reach out? How can I learn more?
They can go to my website. It's jodimurnick.com, JODIMURNICK.com, and they can book a free discovery call with me. I meet with students all the time, 30 minutes, and learn a little bit about what they're struggling with and see if maybe I can help.
Awesome. Jody, I appreciate you taking a few minutes calling the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
You got it.